Legend children do zen mare menzen dongai nyungu jinyen jenze rade no dene no jin soju daze yenden benzo jazen dewe judan judan chunyen jende dale menzen jambe online de Umara Bajana de Zeden Jeje Jero Zenje Nalen de Mornan Baraza Padan Denje Jonlon Dombai Lunde Pubinawa Salu So Nanji Mori Nanji Murjan Zenjada Kudin Zonda Majeba Palo Jinji Jinja Vija Jinda Jima Mebala Guvera Vajimbe Bonen Chanza Jinja Suji Ho Shivan Zero Nanji Suji Jesu Zimbranje Duzo Kongisha Zanda Emi Mongisa Zimbe Nolaj Zimbe Zue Zendo Mbarwe Dogen Megi Zinjo Zama Kwenye Shiren Jiten Sumji Konjambe Toambe Mangarbe Shiben Dirin Dale Inzo Jinzo Limbe Mindongo Zeren Jaye Nando Ranjan Jinjo Zenzo Beje Jombarwe Pema June Dale Inzo Bumbulan Yandewadan Tome Nyen Cholan Chijinda Chijan Nyen Bawaza Zamin Jinjonan Jinda Ejon Karinde Garin Jinin Bengula Yenden Junga Shazardo Nibidin Zimbebe Nanjaraba Time Uzri Shabjinda Ejon Don Jamba Jina Jinale Kumbelone Pubita Jedro Dojin Zinjan Wanju Nivam Jambi Anjinda Ejon Dalla Ribolovana, Dogi de Gemano Azo, Labazano, Burshinabe, Miji Tinjela Menda Ejon, Namuguru, Jinimba Mendaji, Shizala Kunjara, Jundaji, Jigala Mendanawa, Paden La Meja Jinda Ejon, Sanji Kundanyanaya, Kadin Sanji Kuneta Biben, Sarina Mijola Zuade, Azondo Jindo Warashinjilo. Konda jujur dongi jidena, deje lo manju bakan suda, tende dambi juji jabebe, Symbol Devadan de Jeje, Namaya, Damba, like it on the Danijing, Dugum the Namik, and Dam, Duagunje, Danam Jazamba, Amjeke, those also the Yunji. Majanangi, Tadanyam, Besam Jem Tamje, Nandul, the Devala, Namedwa, Yandavan Zobi, Sanji, Kumaran Burcha, Chine Jambu Brasha, Echedu, Tewachim Bishunu, Yazichan Simba, Shivalan Zebi, Junju Deni, Tsushindu, Seme. Nyamso long yo nyamdo sambashan ju chodo tu yabatan chide sense how. So as usual, at first generating this awakened mind in order to transform this meritorious activity into the cause of enlightenment, we raise this awakened mind in this way that I'm going to listening this Mahayana scripture composed by Shantideva called Bodhicharyavatara, and then I'm going to try my best to put into practice whatsoever I understood through this teaching for the sake of motherless sentient beings in order to liberate them from this cyclic existence and its cause and to lead them to complete enlightenment. And then top of that great intention and they modified the conduct or the manner of listening Dharma teaching that listen carefully in an excellent way and then try to hold it. So this is the preparations to listen to any kind of Dharma teachings. And then the actual Dharma teachings, the Bodhicharyavatara, has this kind of like 10 chapters. So far we completed 3 chapters, and then now we are in this 4th chapter. So the first 3 chapters is to introducing the benefit or the advantage of having this awakened mind within oneself, and to then second and third chapters to have that advantage within oneself, how one should prepare to have it and how actual one can have it. So this all guided by these 3 chapters. And then now this 4th chapter, 4th, 5th, 6th chapter is mainly the purpose to how to maintain properly that what we have received the Bodhisattva's vow. And then this 4th chapter is mainly focusing, and in order to maintain this Bodhisattva's vow, in order to maintain this Mahayana spiritual path, either way we can call Bodhisattva's vow or the Mahayana spiritual path. We need to have a sense of carefulness. And in order to have a sense of carefulness, and we need to understand the fault of transgressing the Bodhisattva's vow. And then also it is important to understand the advantage of having this Bodhisattva's vow as well. This advantage, Shantideva already introduced in chapter number 1. And then now from this, that's the one conditions that which can help us have a carefulness, but also on the other hand, this is also necessary to understand its fault as well. So that and then at the same time that he also introducing that in order not to transgress this Bodhisattva's vow, or in order not to skip away oneself from this Mahayana spiritual path, then what one should really should avoid, and such as those, in order to avoid those actions and avoid those emotions, and then we need to understand why we should avoid in these actions and why we should avoid those emotions which force us to act the kind of like missed it, or the wrong actions, which really force us to transgress this Bodhisattva's vow. And then so far in this chapter number 4, that we learned the how to say, the fault or the disadvantage of transgressing the Bodhisattva's vow. And then also we learned this right now, that having all these favorable conditions and gathering all the favorable conditions, even that kind of like a healthy, even having a healthy, and then having food and shelter enough, and not having any danger at this moment. And this is the moment, that very right moment for us try practice the spiritual path. And then what do you call it? What will going to happen if we lose this chance? Then this, once we lose this opportunity, then in order to gain or to get again this opportunity, then there is a kind of like it might becomes like impossible for us to get another chances like right now we do. So understanding, he is letting us understand all these things, so we can have a sense of carefulness to not to try our best to not to transgress this our Bodhisattva's vow. And then yesterday he also introduced that what do you call the now after that, and he also introducing now this kind of like, if you obey them, if you follow them, then they, how to say, make and become great condition for oneself to transgress this our Bodhisattva's vow. Which emotions are that Shantideva introduced yesterday, that hated and lust, and then so forth. Actually, the so forth, including those greed, and then ego, self-centered attitude, and ignorant, jealousy, and pride, all those poisoned emotions. And these are the emotions that if anyone wants to practice this Mahayana spiritual path properly, if anyone wants not to transgress this Bodhisattva's vow, then one should one should kind of like one should try, or the focus, or to not to get, how to say, not to not to let those emotions become stronger, and not to feed those emotions again and again, and try to press down, try to lay it low as much as possible, that you should try. So therefore, Shankar was introduced yesterday that these are the emotions that if you feed them, if you obey them, then it will really much force you to skip away, or the how to say, the transgress this Bodhisattva's vow could happen. So therefore, you should be careful to not to obey them so much. And then reason, he is also telling all this reason together as well, because these are the things actually, how to say, if you, these are the kind of like he's introducing like generally that basically that these are the emotions, if you feed them, and they will harm you in general, one thing. Therefore, you should careful to feeding them. And then also particularly how much they can harm, really. That if the harm is some sort of like a bearable, then it might be okay. But the harm really they can create it. It's such a unbearable. That's what he in writings, because that in order to let us understand or let us able to imagine that how much or these emotions can harm within us. Then he is using this example that worst case scenario, let's say the worst case scenario that in human, being a human, being a human can have difficulties to how to say the dying with the trauma torture, and this is what he's using example. Even though all the gods and demigods became your foes, and then they will kill, they killed you with the kind of like a tremendous torture, and but still they will never ever throw you down in the, how to say, in the suffer that where you have to face the kind of like a what do you call it? It is, how can I use this now here? That he's using this example in a very nice way. That he's saying that even these suffer that we general human being considering as the greatest suffer, that it is unbearable, but still they are failed to throw us into the hell, that where we need to experience the suffer evens and evens. Even though they tortured us and kill us with the torment way, but still it will become it can becomes comparing with the suffering in the hell. It is just a very moment, and it is just a very short temper. It is just the pain itself is also very less compared with those pain that which we are experiencing in hell. So then he also introduced that these afflictive emotions, if we feed them, if we obey them, if we follow them, then they can not just torment us by having all this pain, but also at the moment they will harm, and also at the end of the death they will also going to harm, and after death continuously they're also going to harm very badly. So therefore understand that and generate sense of carefulness to not to obey that afflictive emotions. And that is kind of like now really, yes, it is one way it is challenge, but on the other hand it is really necessary, and it is really truth that if we do that, definitely these all the consequences, even though we don't want, we dislike, there's no choice rather than undergoing all this through. So therefore, that person who doesn't wish to undergo all these consequences, then have to have a sense of carefulness and try one's best to not feed our afflictive emotions. And that's what Shantideva was trying to let us do, and Shantideva was trying to let us try to do that. So until that, now Shantideva introduced to us this stanza number 31st. Now today this 32nd, 32, stanza number 32. Now this stanza number 32, he is also keep continuing that how those afflictive emotions are so unfavorable for oneself, so disturbing for oneself, and so difficult to feed them. And then they continue his guiding, so we can have a sense of carefulness to avoid obeying or the following those afflictive emotions. So then this dagi nyamon daoga during total mebada dashin kunja dedabu yurin tuba my nose. Now so far he guided that obeying those afflictive emotions will generally, basically, definitely going to harm you. And then after that, he also tried to introduce the how much that if one shall follow those, feed them and follow those afflictive emotions, how much really they can harm us. He also introduced that. Now after that, now this stanza is really, he's trying to introduce the time wise, that how long these afflictive emotions, if you feed them, if you follow them, and how long they can torture you, they can harm you. Now this stanza is mainly, he's trying to introducing the time wise, how long, and then understanding the time wise, and then if anyone doesn't want to experience that long this suffer, then should try to not feed our own afflictive emotion. That's what he's trying to let us have a sense of carefulness, to not to feed our afflictive emotions by introducing the how long it can torture us, it can harm us if we feed them. And this is stanza stanza number 32. O my enemy, afflictive poisons, endless and beginningless companion. No other enemy indeed is able to endure so long. Now this mainly, this stanza that introducing the time wise now. But not really, this is what the, what you call during for the Dagi Yamonta organs, that our real enemy, which is afflictive poisons or the afflictive emotions, and then the they harmed and they tortured us from beginningless time. And if you follow them, if you feed them, and they will torture you and harm you endlessly. They harmed us, they disturbed us, they tortured us from beginningless, but still, if you obey them, if you follow them, if you feed them, then they will harm you endlessly. So there's such a comparable that there's not such a comparable enemy like this enemy, that general kind of like a normal enemy, they cannot really harm to us from beginningless to endless. And this is therefore, is saying, there's no any other enemy that could harm us in this way, ever. So therefore, the mainly Shandadeva what it's saying, that this afflictive emotions that we already fed it, we already obeyed until now, from beginningless to now, we are here in this samsara, which means we all, because of it's proving that we obeyed these afflictive emotions, we feed these afflictive emotions, we followed that afflictive emotions. Therefore, we are here still in this cyclic existence right now, from beginningless to now. And then now, if you still, actually, this is one way it is saying, this is something our late holiness one time he kind of like scolded us in among of the us that what do you call it, during this one empowerment time, that he's granting this empowerment, and then some of the kind of like a little bit kind of like a yogi, that he's wearing kind of like a this, what do you call it, very the long black kind of like a coat, not really coat, but very like that. this kind of like a, which is a little bit becoming like improper, because that where he's granting this empowerment is considering kind of like a non-dwelling monastery, kind of like the full of ordained monks area, where no one wears like this, but he's alone, kind of like wearing a little bit strange, different, look different. And then that holiness, how to say, said it to the everyone, us, that he said this, he said this one, that to us, since beginning less to until now, we keep wearing this, therefore we are here, but still you are wearing this. It is little unfortunate. That's how he said it, and he expressed it in a little kind of like a sad or sad expression, sad expressions, that you don't have to how to say, surprised by wearing these things, because you wear this from beginning less to now, and still you like to wearing this. It's a little sad. And this is now really here, this Shantideva's idea is also saying this, something that feeding those afflictive emotions and trying to achieving some pleasure it is not something new. It is, we did this from beginning last time to now, that we don't really need to get so surprised by it. So the how to say, rather than surprising by it, it's better to surprise if we are able to avoid this, if we are able to how to say, keep little distance from it, then it is worth and right to have us be surprised if one able to do that. Just following those afflictive emotions is nothing surprise. It is, we keep doing it. We did it. So therefore we are here, still wants to do that. And this is how Shantideva here also saying the time-wise, if these afflictive emotions, if you obey them, if you follow them, if you feel them, then this so far until now, we are here from beginning last time to now, because of we keep feeling them. Now, if you still keep feeding them, then they will going to keep torture you, harm you endlessly. So therefore, there's no any other comparable enemy like this that can torture oneself endlessly. No matter, regardless how bad I have enemies, he or she cannot harm more than killing me. But this afflictive emotions, if we keep feed, then it is not just killing me, but it is also comes after I die, and after life, endlessly. It won't let me liberate if I keep feeding. So therefore now, this is now Shantideva's, this stanza is trying to Shantideva's, letting us understand the time-wise, if we obey them, and then this eventually, this can force you to transgress your bodhisattva's vow. So therefore, if you wish to not transgress your bodhisattva's vow, you should try to reduce following them, and eventually you should stop following them. So if you don't follow those afflictive emotions, then there's no danger for oneself to transgress this bodhisattva's vow, and to to give up those spiritual path away. And this is the something that if anyone wish to practice properly this Mahayana spiritual path or the way of Bodhisattva's life, then try not to feed your afflictive emotions. And this is what it is mentioned that there was letting us have a sense of carefulness to understanding that how long it can torture us. And then now this next stanza. tumbar rindu tenshena, tamje penna deshena, nimona tenshena, chishin dunga neva shades. Now this stanza, stanza number 33, that all other foes that I appease and wait upon will show me favor, give me every aid. But should I serve my dark, defiled emotions, they will only harm me, draw me down to grief. Now, this stanza is really what it is really. He's giving another idea to contemplate, another informations to contemplate on it, so we can have a sense of carefulness again. So he's trying, actually here Shantidevas, he's trying to provide a different idea so we can contemplate one, not the another, which can help to, generate the sense of carefulness. So now this another idea, it's now what he's providing by this stanza is that, he's using this first two line is the example. First two line is example, and then the second two line is the meaning. The first two line is example, what he's showing that all other foes that I appease and wait upon will show me favor, give me every act. Give me every act. So this is example. Now this is what it is saying, like the ordinary foes, ordinary enemy, that no matter how bad enemy you have, if you work hard to make friends, and if you try to adjust with them, eventually they can become very good friend to you. They can support you back. Even though at the beginning he or she is the worst your enemy, but still there's a hope, there's a way that if you support them, if you adjust to them, if you try to make it friend, and they can become very good friend of you. They can benefit you later. Although at the beginning it is the greatest or the worst your enemy, but later at the end, when you put effort, when you support them, and they can become very good friend of you. But on the other hand, should I serve my dark, defiled emotions, they will only harm me, draw me down to grief. But now this afflictive emotion enemy, as much as you support, that much they will become worse. As much as you provide, as much as you adjust to them, that much they becomes bad and worse and worse. This is what it is saying now. The main point Shantidevas, what is trying to providing us, let us understand through this stanza is there's a not really way that you can really become friend with them. There's no way that you can friend with them. That it is better to, how can I say, they're saying this afflictive emotion is something so hard to rely on or make it friend. It is so difficult to make friend with them. Yeah, this is Shantideva saying. it is very, very difficult to make friends with them. So they can benefit us like our ordinary enemy. When they become friend, and they will going to benefit us. They will support us. Like likewise, that as much as you support, you obey, you feed your afflictive emotions, and then hoping that you can get some benefit to making friends with your own afflictive emotions, it's the very rare and difficult to get benefit by relying on them, relying on this afflictive emotions. So the point here, what Shandideva was trying to say is that there is a hope, even though it is the worst enemy of you, but there is still hope. The ordinary enemy, even though he or she is the worst enemy of you, but still there's a hope that you might can become friend, and later he or she might can support you, help you. But on the other hand, that enemy of oneself, which is those afflictive emotions, those 5 poisons, that as much as you rely, as much as you support them, as much as you obey them, as much as you feed them, follow them, and to becoming a friend, and how to say, in return, that getting benefit by those afflictive emotions, it's almost impossible. It is very rare. So the understand that, and then Shandideva was trying to let us have a sense of carefulness to not to feed those afflictive emotions by understanding how it is difficult and impossible to get, and there's almost no hope that they will benefit us, they will support us if we feed them. To understand that, and then try to avoid feeding them. This is what now Shandideva was really trying to introduce by this stanza. And then Tetara Yunin Yuncha Darjurba, Nubi Tora Pevi Guchibos, Dagin La Never Mechana, Korwar Jimin, Gawar Kala Jurus. So now this, if thus my ancient and unceasing force, the wellspring only of my growing pain, can I lodge so safe within my heart? How can I live so, what is that? Blight and fearless in this will of life. So, okay, so now this, actually this point, this Shandideva, how he have this skill that he can put it all this with a very nice example to show this afflictive emotions. Is clear that that we can easily understand that how it is really torturing oneself, and how long it is torturing to us, and how it is difficult to make a friend with them. There's no way to make friend with them, and if we feed them, they will torture endlessly, time-wise, and then the torture itself or the harm itself is also like an uncomparable harm. So therefore, it is now saying Tetar Yunin Yuncha Darjurba. Here now Tetar. So in this way. So now it is saying in this way. So now what is in this way? In this way, unceasing force. It's saying unceasing force, right? Here. Unceasing, how it is unceasing means kind of like a never exhausting, right? Unceasing, then why he using this unceasing force? Because unceasing, he just described this stanza number 30 first. No, 32, right? How it is unceasing. He already described in this stanza number 32. And then how this afflictive emotion is really one's own fault, that he described by this stanza number 33. And then how this the wellspring only of my growing pain, that this meaning he described in this stanza number 30 and 31st. Now here he is kind of like a conclusion. He is concluding here that he described the harm wise, how much it can harm if you obey afflictive emotions. And then time wise, how long it can harm us. And then the difficulties wise, hopeless wise, there's a kind of like a almost no hope that if you support them and they in return you will get support by them. There's no hope almost, and you will never going to get support by them back. Instead, you will getting support by them by feeding them. You will get harm instead getting support. So the understand all these three things, and then Shantideva tried it already to let us have a sense of carefulness to not to feed our afflictive emotions. Now here concluding, in this way, unceasingly, and then the great force, and then the wellspring of only my growing pain here. That are in this way that how to say, time wise, and then the harm wise, and then the difficulties wise, support wise. No matter from whichever angle you look to feeding these afflictive emotions, whichever angle, and you understand, right? Now he is trying to say here this concluding, right? From whichever angle you try to feed your afflictive emotions, there's no way that you are going to get benefit by that. Instead of getting benefit back, what he's saying, that only the cost which can increase our torture, which can increase our harm, which can increase our difficulties. This is the only cause. Now Shantideva was really concluding. So this is the only cause that if you're able to deal with it, then if you're able to deal with this emotion, then all your difficulties is disappeared. It will going to disappear. And this is the only cause and which create and increased our difficulties, our sorrow, our suffering. The only cause. So, which is something right now in this present dwelling within one's mind. That only the cost which can create and increase, develop the difficulties. That cause is right now presently dwelling or the residing within my heart. If that the case in this cyclic existence, how we can live fearless and how we can live with the joy, with the having, with together with this. It means the Shantideva means together with these emotions, how we can really, how we can really stay fearlessness and how we can really stay with the joyness. Which means now, in a one hand, we can also understand this meaning in this way, that which means, on the other hand, if anyone wants to live a life fearless, live a life with the joy, then what one should try to do is to not to let this emotion dwell within one's heart, within one's mind, heart or mind. Okay, let's say within one's mind. If you're able to reduce or remove that enemy, this afflictive emotions, letting dwelling in my mind, then yes, then we can stay, we can live fearlessness, we can live with the joyfulness. Now this is Shantideva's kind of like a trying to letting us understand that what is the source of this all difficulties that which we are facing, and understanding that and trying to letting us have a sense of carefulness. Not just that, sometimes this is something making very clear actually here. This is not just rough informations that saying parents to their kid, advising be a good, be a good, be a good. And then sometimes parent fails to introduce what is good and don't really know what is really makes you good and what really makes you bad. But it is easy to say, be a good, be a good, be a good. You be a good person, you be a good person. Now here, this Shantideva was introducing very specifically, clearly, that in order to be a good practitioner, and these are the emotions will going to disturb you to become a good practitioner. And if you have a sense of carefulness to that, this is something actually here Shantideva also not hoping from us right away that we will be able to remove this. No. And this all we need to train ourselves step by step. Yes, definitely. But in order to practice, in order to train oneself step by step, we need to understand what to train, how to train, and what we should change. And when we introduce the what we should really change, and that is something that we need to introduce exactly what we should change. But at the same time, also it is not something, oh, I should change this afflictive emotions. It is not something that we can just take this cloth out and remove and throw it out somewhere. It is not that easy. This is almost like these afflictive emotions are almost became like our skin. If you cannot take your skin just like that and peel it out and throw it out. If you peel your skin, you may hurt, and you don't want somebody to peel your skin. These emotions are almost became like the skin of ourselves. Now that skin, we need to try to make it cloth first. And then after, when it becomes cloth, then it's easy to take off and throw it out. And then to do that, we need to practice this all by step. But when we are understanding, we have to understand full of that. Full of them, we need to understand. If we don't understand full of them, then when we practice, we won't able to understand until what moment we should practice, we should train, right? So now here, and also Shantideva was not just kind of like introducing us very roughly that you need to be a good practitioner like that. He also describing specifically in order to become a good Mahayana practitioner, and these are the things that you should reduce and press down, lay it low, and remove. Eventually remove. he also not hoping that we can remove right after understand and then we just remove. Maybe some people can do that, but most of us, it's difficult. For myself, it's also difficult to do that. But somehow, in a sense that we have to have understand that, definitely. So we can move forward. And so we can understand what is my final destiny of training. Without understanding these things, then we are not being able to understand what is the final of my training. And then people get confused. And many people get confused in Dharma practice in this way, that because of not understanding the clear destiny. You need to understand the clear final destiny until what you need to reach, until where you need to go, you need to move forward. But understanding that until what you need to forward does not mean that you will be able to go there. You will be immediately you will be reached there. So understand that now here. So how to say, studying all these things, then Shandadeva was trying to put the seed within oneself. So this is the something that you should avoid. This is something you should try to reduce and remove. And if you're able to remove this, and then there will be no any danger for you to transgress this Bodhisattva's vow. There will be no any danger for you to give up yourself to engage into this Mahayana spiritual path. Kurajime Gawakala Gurus. So then now this, okay, so the now next stanza is related with this stanza actually. Here it is saying that only the cause which can create and increase our difficulties, which remained within us so long, which is the naturally our real foe or enemy. And since that very long-term enemy, which is the only cause for oneself to create and increase torture or difficulties or the suffer, which the cause which is really presently residing within my mind, then together with that cause, how one can live fearless and joyfulness, with the joyfulness. Which means now that it is not a good idea for ourselves to kind of like live fearless and joyfulness with this enemy. Kurwajimin Gawakala Jurus. Kurvitsana Sumanya Susu Seje Shemanju Batidani Kaldelone Chavi Javan Nenan Gawakala years. Now this is example. This stanza, the 35th stanza is example, trying to clarify it, trying to clear that above meaning, that above the stanza, that he said it right. How one could live fearlessness and joyfulness. Then how one can live fearlessness and joyfulness? It's that how we cannot live joyfulness and fearlessness and with a joyful. Because he's giving this example. That and if the jail guards of the prison of samsara, the butcher and tormentors of infernal realms, all lurk within me in the way of craving, what joy can ever be my destiny? This is example now. This is actually very obvious truth. And what he is saying is like, for example, that oneself in a prison, and then they surrounded by all this guard of the prison, making sure that you didn't escape. And then not just that, and there's also somebody who's really giving sentence to you, punishing you by your mistake. So someone who can live joyfulness and who can live fearlessness with that circumstances. You understand? With that circumstances, which means, okay, for example, I myself, I'm in a prison and I'm, it is not protected. It is guarded by those many prison guards, so making sure I cannot escape. And then there are somebody who is really punishing to me and giving sentence to me of my penalties. And with that circumstances, now it is saying this, with that situation, with that circumstances, can I live joy? Can I live fearless with that circumstances? This is obviously no one can live fearless. No one can live joyfulness with that circumstances, right? You are torturing and you are constantly making sure you cannot escape from this prison. And then in this prison, the facilities are not that well, that what you really need, you're not getting any of them. So no one can live fearlessness and then joyful with that circumstances, right? This is an example. This is obvious, isn't it? We need to imagine these teachings with this way. Now, when you are able to imagine that, oh yes, it is truth, no one can survive, no one can live fearless and then joyful with that circumstances, isn't it? If that, this is, as I told you, example, this is, he's giving example. So mainly what he's trying to telling you is here is that as long as this only cause of your difficulties, which is this afflictive emotions, that dwelling and staying within one's mind, it's like that you are in a prison and you are protected by God and you are continuously facing those sentence. It is equal to that. This is what he is trying to letting us understand. This example, it's very easy to understand, right? Someone, for myself, for example, I'm in a prison, I'm protected by those guards, and keep facing those all sentence of my mistake. Then at that circumstances, situations, I will, yes, definitely show myself that I cannot live even one moment fearlessness. I cannot live even one moment with the joy. Likewise, now this is likewise, the meaning Shantideva's what he's trying to tell us here is that as long as you are staying with this afflictive emotions, as long as you letting that afflictive emotions stay within your mind, that means you are in that circumstances, you are in that situation where no one can live fearless and then be joyful. So he is trying to making that clear. Sometimes we are not being able to understand that clear without this kind of like a example. These examples are so raw that anyone can understand. But the meaning is so hidden. If we don't contemplate, we won't be able to see that. The meaning is so hidden and then so invisible. So invisible and so hidden. If we don't contemplate properly, we won't be able to see that. And then now, Shantideva was trying here that the meaning which is very invisible, meaning which is very hidden, he is trying to rebuild with this example. He is trying to discover, or it is not discovered, right? It is revealed, right? He is trying to reveal and to see clearly through this example. So he can only let us understand through using these examples. The fact staying with the afflictive emotions is staying with that circumstances. It's equal. This is what he's introducing. Staying with that circumstances, that situations, it's are equal actually. You should understand that. So understand that and then try to have a sense of carefulness to not to feed this one's own afflictive emotions. That's the main point. Nena dala dewa kala yus. Dedar jisi dagi dadi mansum do nyepar machum tesi dadi zunmin do reshi nyuji chumu layan chujuba majal tonam temachumba emails. So therefore, now this is again, first two line is the meaning and second two line is the example. That so how they translated in this English that I will not leave the fight until before my eyes these enemies of mine are all destroyed. For if aroused to fury, what is fury? Fury.
Anger.
Fury. Big anger. Big anger.
A lot of anger. Fury is.
Oh, fury is more than anger.
Yes.
For if aroused to fury by the Mayrest slide, is it? Mayrest slide. Yes. Incapable of sleep until the score are settled. What do you understanding by this, Sister? So the second two line is example. First two line is the meaning. Okay. Anyway, so let me here again it's the thus or the therefore. It is starting with the therefore actually. Theta or the in this way. Yeah, in this way. So far until now, Shantideva described that fault of feeding one's afflictive emotions, right? He tried to introduce naturally it is harm, and then particularly it will harm in a great way and long term, and then very hard to make friend with it, which means better not try to make friends with it. And then as long as you stay with this, there's no such a real joy. There are no such a real freedom that you achieved it. So therefore, try one's best to not stay together with this. This is what Shantideva was trying to tell here. And then now here, that in this way, that after understanding all this fault of being together with the afflictive emotion, right? After understanding all this, being together with the afflictive emotions, the faults of being together with the afflictive emotions, then now what you really need to have a sense of carefulness and what you really need to have a sense of determination is that until this my real enemy how to say until my this real enemy okay. How can I say? Understand this how these afflictive emotions can disturb oneself to transgress this bodhisattva's vow and disturbs oneself to keep away from all this spiritual practice. And then how it really disturbing us, harming us, and then time wise, and then the hopeless wise. After all understanding all this, then now one should have this kind of like a determinations that until in Mansundo is like until I really destroy this my enemy, I will never give up putting effort to it. You understand now? This determinations, he is trying to let us have these determinations after understanding all these things. So now, regardless, no matter what, until I able to destroy this my real enemy, I will never give up, and I will never, give up putting effort to remove it until it becomes very certain that I removed it, all these afflictive emotions from my mind. Till that, I will never giving up putting effort. I will not going to give up hard work. I will not going to give up the diligent to perseverance to remove these things. And now this is really he wants us to have a determination. And now here, this second two lines I told you, this is an example. Now this is something now he is kind of like a saying. On the other hand, in a very circumstances, the small how to say for if aroused to fury by the merest slight, incapable of sleep until scores are settled. Now this one. This is sometimes really happening to us. This is now Shandideva was giving example exactly what is happening within our self. The the normal people, when they get some hurt from one's disliked person, and then until I respond to that, until I did something back, I won't be able to sleep properly. That is happening, right? That is happening sometimes with us. Is it? Now this is kind of Shandideva was really drinking our cigarette. Isn't it sometimes happening within us, that some you are a disliked person, and even they just disturb you. But actually, if you really contemplate, this disturb is very small. Like he or she said something, you are ugly. This is it. And you get so hard, so mad that you are not being able to sleep. And then you are preparing tomorrow when I meet the same person. How should I talk? What do I say? There is a thing, Majadona, that the Reshik, Niji Chungulayan treasure base, that now Chandra was saying, for the temporarily, the small harm, through that small disturbance, one may get anger, who have a really strong ego. Yes. Person who doesn't have much ego, they ignore this easily. But person who have an ego, for example, let's say, if oneself thinking that I am good looking, I am beautiful, I am nice, then somebody say you are ugly, then it's now with your pride, your ego, and what he said is contradicting completely. Therefore, you are not being able to accept this word now. Even this word doesn't have any weapons actually. It doesn't wound you anything. Physically, it doesn't wound you. Mentally, it is disappeared already. As soon as he said, it disappeared already actually. And it disappeared in the air. Now there's no more this word you can hear. One time he said, you ugly. Now finish. It disappeared already. But you keeping that word in your mind and repeating here, he said that. Oh, he said to me, ugly, ugly, ugly. You keep repeating it. Ugly. And then now you're thinking, and then you will going to get mad and anger because of you have this strong ego that I am good, I am looking good. If you don't have that ego, maybe this is less problem. This is one example, and then you can use this to anything. For example, if you have so strong ego that you are considering yourself as a scholar, then somebody will say, you don't know nothing. That word is so much hard now. Because I have so ego that I am thinking that I am a scholar. Now he or she is saying something completely contradiction, which I am not, which I cannot accept. He or she is saying, you don't know nothing. And then I am thinking I know everything. And now you are telling me you don't know nothing? Yes, so you see, because of this ego, I have this ego. If I don't have this ego, even somebody say, you don't know nothing. Okay, I don't know. So what? Finish. But when you have that ego, I know everything. Then somebody say you don't know nothing. Then you get so mad. Likewise, this idea can apply to any situation, any circumstances. And even you think you are young, you are not old, and somebody will say, somebody will call you mama or something, then you get so mad. Right? Because it is contradicting with your ego. Your ego, your self-centered is you are young, not old yet. Now that other person saying you are old, and which is now unacceptable. Like that. Ego is very kind of like emotions can go with any situation, any circumstances. Any circumstance. You keep that question. We can discuss after I finish. And likewise, and that ego can go with any other situations too. For instance, even like a kind of like a small things that we have so much egos. Yes, actually, sometimes we don't know ourselves that we have this ego. For instance, like making food, also we can have an ego. And you are thinking yourself, I am a very good cook. And then somebody come and teach you, do that, and then you will say, you look like this. You don't say anything sometimes. You look like, what this guy doing? What the hell this guy doing here to teaching me this how to cook? It is because of this, your ego and what he is doing is contradicting. Therefore, you are not being able to accept. If you don't have that ego, I know how to cook very well. Even though he gave some suggestion, not big problem. Like that, anyway. So the ego can go with the many different circumstances. Okay? But anyhow, here now, what Shandideva was trying to saying is that for the temporarily, for the momentarily, small amount of disturbance, harm can make us anger, who have a great deal of pride, ego. And then that person who have a great deal of ego, they won't be able to even sleep well until they do something back. And they are so determined. Now this is Shandideva, what main point he's saying is the person who have a great deal of ego, they have a strong determinations that until they get back, until they do something back to that person, even they won't be able to sleep well. This is because of his very strong determination, actually, right? Now Shantideva was saying, this kind of determinations, it is very worth and good if you have that same determinations for you to get rid of that afflictive emotions. Look your own afflictive emotions as this person who disturbed you. And then have a sense of determinations like that you have this for example, I have this determinations until I respond something, I won't be able to even sleep well. That is my decision. This decision or determinations, now Shantideva was saying, it is very good and worth if you can have it with dealing with your own afflictive emotions instead of that person. You understand? Clear? This is very important, how to say, kind of like, how can I say it out? Very important message, actually. Very important knowledge that Shantideva was giving to us. So now we should get it, that knowledge, in order to practice. So we need to get this knowledge. And now this is talking about the determinations, the last stanza, right? The last stanza number 36, that he's trying to letting us have, after understanding all this, how it is not proper if we feed and follow and obey our afflictive emotions. Understand all of this and finalize yourself here. Now, regardless, no matter what, I will try my best to reduce and get rid of these afflictive emotions. that determinations that he is trying to let us have. Just like this example, that those persons who have a great deal of ego, how they are so determined to respond back. Like that determinations, if you have it in dealing with this your afflictive emotions, it is great now. It is now Shantideva's kind of like a hoping switched our determination. Actually, this second determination is easy to have it, right? Many occasions we have that determination. Many occasions we have this determination. Now Shantideva wants to switch that determination. You better to have this determination for that, not for this. Okay, we may stop here. That's very good to contemplate and good to have a determination. Try to have that determinations regardless whether right now we are able to do or not do. Having those determinations is like having a seed, sowing the seed in ourselves. And keep remind oneself these determinations, then this seed will going to grow. And when that seed grow, then the rest of other will going to be reduced. It is like a one place that cannot grow two different trees. If one tree is grow, another tree is dying. Yes. If another tree grow, then other tree is dying. So now we know how to grow and how to sow the seed. And now try to sow the seed and try to grow. Even though others tree is so big, it will going to dry if we grow this seed. That's truth. That's already proven by all those ancient great practitioners. They are also same like us. They have all this afflicted mind, and then later they are able to reduce and get rid of. Because of this method. Yes, it is true. Because of this method, they are utilizing this method again and again. Not just one time understand and then finish. These are not just intellectual these informations are actually, we shouldn't just learn as a knowledge, just as a knowledge. We should study and learn more than a knowledge. And to keep remind oneself again and again as much as one could. Okay, and yes, she.
Sometimes you have first question is the emotions you should get rid of are the negative emotions, right? The first question is the goal to become emotionless or just get rid of the bad ones?
Afflictive emotion.
So you can keep the happy or some other positive emotion?
Okay, let's say positive emotions. Yeah, kind of like a loving kindness, compassion. You mean those emotions and faith, devotion. These are considering emotion, right? Yeah.
And another question is that you mentioned ego is related with everything in many scenarios.
It can be related. It can be related.
Let's say
It can be. You should understand in this way. It is not necessarily related with everything. It can be related with everything. As I told you earlier here, that if you don't have that ego, that I am a scholar, then even somebody say you don't know nothing. Okay, so what? Because you don't have that ego that I know everything. And somebody is telling you that you don't know, it doesn't disturb. If I have ego that I know everything, then someone say you don't know, then that really hurts. Because it's contradictory with my ego. My ego is I know everything. And what he's saying is I don't know. I know everything and I don't know is contradicting.
what if you think you're right? Let's say someone says,
Yeah, that's what same ego. That's ego too.
let's say if someone says we cannot take care of parents when they're old and you think it's so wrong. And then you think I'm right, you're wrong. Is that
You cannot take care of your parent.
No, I'd say someone says something you don't agree with. They say, or they say something like it's okay to abuse children, something like that. And then you feel like that's not right. And then you feel like maybe angry.
That's not necessarily ego. That is help that children. That's not related with the self.
But you still think I'm right, you're wrong. That's still ego.
No, not necessarily. That is because this emotion is coming based on a taking well-beings of other. Now that's just compassion. It's coming from compassion, right?
But if I feel angry, that's still wrong.
Yes. Angry is still wrong. Yeah. Angry never right, no matter what.
Or if I'm a poor student apply to university, I cannot afford, I feel mad. That's still an emotion.
Yeah, it's useless. Okay, even you emotioned, you feel mad. That you are mad doesn't make you to be able to go university.
Is part of your question, are reflective emotions ever beneficial? Or okay, or okay.
What?
Oh, part of her question is it ever okay to have the reflective emotion?
No.
Like even though my intention is good, I want to go to university and I can't go. You know, so is
And then
it
getting-
good that, is it
getting
good
anger.
that I wanna go?
Getting anger.
Mm.
It's not good. You just try again, yes. Talk to anybody whoever can support you. Yes, you try in that way. Anger doesn't help anything to get you there. Anger actually even make you worse. If someone really have little intention to, may I support this girl, if you show anger, then he will remove that. Even okay, now forget it. Right? If you argue, if you say some bad word at that moment, and then if he have little intention, right? He have little intention, and he will going to remove that little intention from his mind. So you lost all your chance. So anger is useless from that circumstances as well. Rather than anger, if you try in a different way, say something nice, please, that I really wanted, blah, blah, blah. Maybe he have this little intention, right? He have this seed. If you put condition, seed will grow. And then he will say, oh yes, okay, I will help you. And this will grow. Because seed is there. he have little intention to help you, but he is not sure how much you really wanted that, right? And if you show how much you want it, then that becomes condition for this seed to grow. And then he will let grow this intention bigger. And then he will say, okay, don't worry. If that's the case, I will support you. I will help you to get in. And now, for example, I have this little intention to support you to get in, right? Okay, let's assume here. And then now you tried it. First you have tried, it doesn't work. And then you get mad, anger on me. And then you yelled on me and you say bad things about to me, that you are the cheater, liar, that you are not accepting the not equal, right? Not equal, that you're not accepting me, blah, 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 blah. If you yelled, then I will remove that, even this small seed. Okay. You just yell whatever you want to yell and then go home. Right? Anger doesn't work. Afflictive emotion doesn't work.
It works temporarily for some people. And the reason I say that is because, let's say I want you to do something, and you don't want to do it, and I yell at you, and then you don't go ahead and do it. You got the temporarily it worked. Now I have negative karma.
Yes, you have negative karma.
For doing that, so I will pay some time in the future if I even know what karma is.
Okay.
But my point is, in that moment,
that is
I'm thinking that my anger works.
Okay, yes. So that is same again, Jennifer. That is same I'm saying so many times. It is not your anger works. It is works your yell. Your yell is working, not your anger is working here. And you can pretend you are anger and you're yelling. It still works. And if you do this with a very anger, then I may keep some grudge to you. I'll fix this lady later.
Your English is very good there.
I may keep grudge, right, if you do that. It doesn't really work actually. But even if you just want to let it work, you don't need anger there. You just pretend anger and yell. It will work.
Pretend anger meaning my intention is
Show anger.
Show anger.
And then yell. And it works. For the temporary. If you just want to work for the temporary. And if you just want to work for temporary, still anger is not necessary there. Okay, now we go. Sanamde Tamje Zibani Tomne Ben Janam Namjene Chega Nachi Walan Trubai Sibin Zolen Doan Dovarasho Jamba Bave Jidara Kimbana Kundu Sambo Deyan Dejinde Deda Gunji Jesu Naloji Gewan Deda Tamje Rabdu Gewandi Shivuk Sunam Yeshe Zozone, Sunam Yeshe Lejonwe, Tamba Kunyi Tobrasho, Sanje Kusum Yebe Chimamda, Chuni Mendur Dembe Chimamda, Genden Meche Dembe Chimamdi, Jidara Mawa Melam Dubarshu. By this beneficial activity, may I obtain omniscience, and having vanquished the harmful enemy, greed, anger, delusion, may I liberate all beings tossed about helplessly by the birth, aging, illness, and death in the ocean of becoming, by conforming to the knowledge of courageous Manjushri, Chambalyan, and in the same way as Samandabhadra, Kundusambo, and following their example, I dedicate perfectly all this virtue. By this virtue, may all beings perfectly achieve the accumulation of merit, sanam, and wisdom, yeshe, and may they thereafter obtain the two holy bodies which result from this true accumulation. By the blessing of the Buddha Sanghi, who obtained the three bodies, by the blessing of the immutable truth of the Dharmata Chuni, by the blessing of the infallible aspirations of the Sangha, gain them, may this prayer of dedications be accomplished just as it is. So next week we're not going to have teaching. We're going to renovate this center a little bit next weekend. So see you then next.
Okay, I'm leaving to pick up Isan.
Okay. See you in shortly.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did you say, Jenna?
How I know?
You renovated?
Window.
Oh, window.
Changing. Last time we planned to do and then crash our plan. Now this time almost formed.
Okay. So, no practice either?
Why not for me?
Never mind.
Saturday, Sunday.
Oh, Saturday or Sunday.
Only Saturday, Sunday.